400,000 hectares across 12 countries in Africa and Asia. One complex ownership structure. This is the Socfin plantation empire. At the top, French billionaire Vincent Bolloré holds nearly 40%. The ownership structure is deliberately complicated. And fortunately for me, a lot of journalists already did the work of mapping how the companies work together. This complex web of holding and operational companies across borders makes it very difficult to investigate or litigate. But the real control happens in Fribourg, Switzerland. 3 companies, Sogesco, Socfinco, and Sodimex, manage everything. According to HEKS research, these Swiss companies have, and I quote, a decisive influence on the company that operates the plantation, with Sogesco even exercising de facto control since it acts as an exclusive trading partner. But to understand how 3,000 people ended up trapped inside their own ancestral land, I need to explain the bigger picture. Until 2022, Vincent Bolloré controlled an infrastructure empire across the African continent. I compiled the ports listed across multiple sources over time, 16 container terminals, 22 inland ports. Then I found an old tweet from 2018 with a very detailed map of Bolloré-controlled infrastructure in Africa. Reverse searching the image revealed that it was originally pulled from the Bolloré Transport website, which was no longer operational. So I checked the Wayback Archive and found the page with a detailed list of all ports and corridors. I thought it'd be a shame to lose this data, so I georeferenced the image and redrew those lines to show you the full Bolloré network on this one map. The scale is staggering. It includes the entire 1,000-kilometer Cameroon railway. But Bolloré's system was unique because he didn't just control ports and railways. Through Canal+, he reached 8 million African subscribers. Through Havas, France's biggest advertising agency, he controlled the narrative. Jean-Philippe Doran, an executive at Havas, has been portrayed as one of West Africa's most influential spin doctors. When communities protested plantation abuses, Bolloré controlled logistics could limit their exports. When journalists investigated, Bolloré Media could shape the story. And when that failed, there were lawsuits. Many lawsuits. Over 30 slap suits filed against journalists, NGOs, and activists since 2009, not just for plantations, across all Bolloré operations. In 2021, French courts convicted Bolloré Group of corruption. Police had raided Bolloré Tower, the group's headquarters outside Paris, searching for evidence that Bolloré sent public relations consultants to run the 2010 presidential elections. The consultants worked for Alpha Condé in Guinea and Fog Nassimbe in Togo for fees well below the market rate. What did Bolloré get in return? He received 35-year port management contracts worth hundreds of millions. The fine was only 12 million euros. In 2022, Bolloré sold his logistics empire to MSC for 5.7 billion euros. Over 60 African NGOs, led by the French organization Sherpa, are now seeking that exact figure in restitution. They argue the empire was built on systematic corruption. Vincent Bolloré still faces up to 10 years imprisonment if convicted in ongoing proceedings. It was set up in 1909 with origins going back to the Belgian colonial empire in Congo. Today, within Bolloré's empire, Socfin controls 400,000 hectares. Business has been good. Socfin's profits exploded in 2021 to reach 80.4 million euros, their highest figure since at least 2014. This is the price trend for palm oil over the last few years, and you can see that it explodes after 2014 when the war in Ukraine started. As consumers started demanding fair trade products and public scrutiny increased, Socfin decided to apply for sustainability certification. So they hired the Earthworm Foundation to audit their operations. The results are here. The investigators they hired untangled a dark web of terrible facts. The foundation investigated 8 sites in 2023 and 2024. They found sexual harassment allegations to be credible and founded at every single site. The report reads like a catalog of violations: sexual harassment, gender-based violence, land that should have been returned but wasn't, occupation of sacred sites, intimidation, arrests, violation of labor rights, the list goes on. The area planted by the company's African subsidiaries rose from 87,000 hectares in 2011 to 108,000 in 2014. That's a growth of 24% in just 3 years. Greenpeace ran their own investigation. They confirmed illegal land grabs in Kribi and conflicts with locals in multiple plantations. So let's look at the cost of Socfin's profits by focusing on the village of Apu in Cameroon. In 2000, Socfin acquired Socopom, a Cameroonian company that had been active since the 1970s as a state-owned enterprise. Socopom was privatized with 78,500 hectares. The foundation of their claims rests on a decades-old clerical error. Colonial land titles from 1960 list this area as belonging to Deane village. The problem, Deane is a neighboring village that didn't exist until 1972, 12 years after these titles were issued. The local chief possesses conflicting titles showing Apu or Deane. The real and critical change came in 2010, when Sakopalm acquired operations from another palm oil company near the village of Apu. Under the previous operator, the villagers had cultivated 874 hectares with relative stability. Under the new Sakopalm ownership, caterpillars immediately cleared these farms to expand oil palm cultivation. On request from the villagers, the Cameroon government ran an analysis of land use, which confirmed that Sakopalm was exploiting 3,874 hectares illegally. Earlier this year, everything came to a head. In January 2025, the women of the village took direct action. They decided to plant 6,000 banana seedlings on their disputed land to assert the community's claims. On March 25th, Sakopalm began replanting operations on the same land. The company arrived with heavily armed military forces to supervise the replanting. And when the villagers protested, authorities deployed tear gas. All 6,000 banana seedlings were destroyed in the operation. When asked who mobilized the security forces, the local sub-prefect stated, and I quote, "If you want to know, you should contact Sakopalm." The standoff reveals the architecture of the problem. Sakopalm's position is that they're tenants of the state and cannot transfer land to third parties. The government's position is that the land return is the company's responsibility. A 2-decade standoff continues while the villagers remain trapped. After 141 years of different flags and companies, the extraction continues.